that is like a narrative that's being pushed just so system change doesn't have to happen, that things can stay the same, business as usual can continue, and we just like switch the fuel source from fossil fuels to renewables.
Hmm.
Uh, but that is a false choice. And it's just not true. Like it's not renewables aren't replacing fossil fuels. The use of fossil fuels is actually growing, and renewables is like an add-on. Um, so yeah, and it's like what are both fossil fuels and renewables fueling? It's fueling like a hugely unsustainable and wasteful system, a global economic system, which is capitalism. So it's like we're funneling our land or water or trees into like a sieve that's just flowing out the other end, a sieve with a hole in the bottom. So it's like it's never ending.
Welcome to the Save Our Sperrins campaign, Voices from the Frontline. I'm Morella Fife, your host and a member of the Save Our Sperrins team. At the heart of this struggle are the voices of local people, farmers, families and young campaigners whose homes, work and families are rooted in this place. Their voices are joined by supporters from across the world, standing in solidarity, from professors to artists, from those offering vast expertise to those whose presence alone is an act of support. All have stood with us. In this series, we share stories of resistance, resilience, and hopes from those determined to protect these mountains, their land, their rivers, the very air they breathe, and their community. Let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Lynda Sullivan, a writer, activist, campaigner, and organiser. Lynda's journey has taken her from the Andes of Peru, where she accompanied communities resisting destructive megaprojects, to Ireland, where she has worked with organisations like Friends of the Earth, Northern Ireland, and the Environmental Justice Network Ireland. She is now coordinator of the global Yes to Life, No to Mining network, leading on communications, and an active organiser with CAIM, the All-Ireland Network of Communities Resisting Mining. Lynda has been a long-time supporter of Save Our Sperrins, and I'm delighted to welcome her to the podcast today. Lynda, to begin, could you tell us a little about yourself, who you are, and where are you right now?
Yeah, thanks, Marilla, and yeah, thanks for having us on the podcast. So I'm from West Belfast, and I was living there until recently, when I moved to Warrenpoint. So I'm currently sitting in Warrenpoint. Well, I can't see now because it's dark, but I can normally see Carlingford Lough and the
Lovely.
and the Cooley Mountains out my window. So very beautiful place.
Oh, brilliant. How would you describe the state of Ireland's environment right now, the whole of the island of Ireland, and in relation to biodiversity, climate targets, and both governments' wider priorities? Big questions, so you can skim over it.
Yeah, it is a big question, and unfortunately, yeah, it's not a positive answer. I think we're in a pretty dire state, all across the island, north and south. Yeah, like our waters are polluted. Um, our land is not rich in biodiversity. It's like a green desert. So I think, and that's mainly due to the big industries on the island. Industrial agriculture is a big killer of biodiversity. And that's not putting the blame on farmers, that's putting the blame on the model of farming that many farmers have been pushed into. Like go big or fail, and that's been government led, that's been industry led, like Moy Park, So they that has been devastating for our land and our waters. Yeah, and then I suppose as well, like the extractive industry that we're here to talk about today. Um, Mining that currently exists and possible mining, but then also quarrying that just, has ripped up our countryside, uh, north and south of the border as well. So it's kind of like the big industries don't see a border. They consider the island as up for grabs. So yeah, so that's why I suppose on an organising basis, we need to have a united response. Nature knows no borders either. Organising and activism also doesn't know any borders. So yeah, I'll end on a positive.
Um, all the same, it's a pretty stark picture that you're painting, and it's kind of sobering to hear just how quickly things have changed in a few short decades. Really challenges the idea of Ireland as a green, unspoilt land full of leprechauns that we like to imagine ourselves to be living in. And part of what makes that even more worrying is what's happening right beneath the surface right now with the expansion of mining across Ireland. Can you help us understand the scale of mining, prospecting across Ireland, what that means for our communities compared perhaps with other places?
Hmm. Yeah, so yeah, mining is intensifying all over the world, and the global south continues to be sacrificed. And the vast burden of extractivism happens there. But there's also in the global north, like the peripheries that are also being sacrificed, and Ireland is one of those peripheries. Yeah, elsewhere in Europe, it's like Iberia, the Balkans, and um, Scandinavia. So we are, yeah, put up by our governments as a sacrifice zone to the mining industry. Yeah, so I'm sure, like about the Fraser Institute and that survey that they do every year. So for a while, both north and south of the island were like in the top 10 of that in terms of attractiveness to the mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they stopped reporting there for a while because I think they knew it was giving them a bad rep. But it just came back there that the south of Ireland is again number one.
Huh.
And the north, it continues to be no reporting on it. Yeah, so what that means is that the policies promoted by the state are extremely facilitative of the mining industry. It's like making it easy as possible in terms of tax breaks, in terms of um, yeah, like even they provide the public money to map the whole island in terms of like the TELUS project that was carried out both by the Geological Survey Ireland and the Geological Survey Northern Ireland with public money to show the mining industry kind of what's up for grabs. Um, and it's worked. Like approximately a quarter of the island north and south is like already concessioned to mining companies, and in the north the Department for Infrastructure or no Department for Economy, sorry, has said that could go up to 70%. They're willing to sell off like 70%, and in the south, I'm not sure of the exact figure, but there's not much that's not up for grabs really. So yeah, we have a few big extractive projects already currently on the go across the island. So we have the Tara mines in Meath,
Mm-hmm.
which is like
Yeah.
the biggest zinc mine in Europe.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, like the community surrounding the mine are part of CAIM, part of our network, the Communities Against the Injustice of Mining. So we know a fair bit about what they've been going through. They're living underneath a huge tailings pond, hundreds of hectares wide, full of toxic material. And the company Boliden, it's Swedish. They're responsible for previous dam collapses in other places. And they're currently trying to like buttress this toxic tailings dam, which indicates that obviously what's there isn't sturdy. Like there is it's categorized as high risk of collapse, and that would involve potential loss of life, a devastation for all the communities around it, not to mention the environment, so we have that Auchinish alumna on the banks of the Shannon is just a monstrosity. The largest of its kind in Europe as well. It's a processing plant of bauxite. The bauxite that's mined in the Amazon is brought to the banks of the Shannon to process, and that's just another disaster waiting to happen. We have Cavanagh, the gold mine near Oma, which just seems like a whole like there's an open pit there with acid mine drainage, just like an inevitable acid mine drainage problem that will acid mine drainage, which comes from extracting the rock from the type of rock that is across the north, the sulfide rock. Then if that's extracted and exposed to air or water, causes acid mine drainage, which is a forever problem, so Cavanagh is holding that, within it, and God knows what's been seeping out. So those are like the current projects. There's loads of projects that continue, like abandoned mines that continue to contaminate, continue to pollute the rivers. It's now the problem of the state. Like that's what happens. The mining company finishes and it goes, and the cleanup's the problem of the people, really, and the state has to attempt to do something about it. So, and then we're looking at obviously what they want to push through, which is obviously the project in the Sperrins, which would be a mammoth project, as everyone listening to this podcast knows. And then that would open the door also to just a whole raft of mining across the island, so yeah, that's what we're looking at.
It's hard to grasp some of those figures that you're pulling out of your head there. It's becoming an enormous problem, though it seems that a lot of people don't see it as a problem going forward. We're already in crisis with water in many of our towns and cities, and here we are about to impact our water supply, the water that we drink, going forward for future generations, where water will be almost as precious, if not more precious than gold, because of the way it's been used and how much mining uses around the world and how much of it is being made unusable. When you think about the smallness of our little island, the island of Ireland, it's shocking to realise how much of it has been quietly handed over without the knowledge or the will of the people. So you've touched before on how state agencies have actively encouraged the process. I wonder, could we explore that a bit more?
Yeah, so I suppose what the state, there's many ways in which the state is encouraging mining. Very generous to the industry policy. Like before a company is granted a prospecting license, they don't need to do any environmental or human rights assessments on what to be doing. They just have to provide very limited financial knowledge. And many of these companies are just set up for the purpose of that project. They start up like small companies, and then once they're ready with a project, they pass it on to the big players, so there's usually no financial guarantee, or not the checks that need to be done, really, because prospecting isn't benign. Like prospecting includes there's lots that prospecting includes, and sometimes it is like soil samples, and like what seemingly benign activities, but it also means drilling, and the Sperrins, you know the effects of drilling, like 700 drills across the Sperrins, um, spewing contamination like into the rivers, just lying there untapped. In the bogland as well, like, there's like the bog slides that the Sperrins have seen because of all this drilling, um, streams disappearing, prospecting isn't benign, but the government, both the north and south, like, don't allow you to comment on mining when you're responding to a consultation on prospecting, and which is ludicrous because obviously, you know, that's what prospecting has the aim of leading to. So to not have a say in how this land is being sold, yeah, it's just hugely undemocratic. Um, yeah, and the consultations are tick box. They're just like, yeah, people's views aren't in any meaningful way taken into account. So
Yeah, I agree. They're simply a marketing exercise for the company more than anything else. So really, the state is both map maker and matchmaker. It lays out the ground and invites the corporations in, and that's kind of something to get our head around. And I know they've had a presence at international mining conferences and so on. Which was surprise to us, but of course that's where they're going to go to lay out their stall and say Ireland is open for business.
yeah, yeah, and there's also other like other bodies that facilitate the mining too, like ICRAG, which is like this partnership between the state, academia, and industry, and it leads to well, the academic research then is industry led and to the benefit of industry, because yeah, that's who's funding it. So it's kind of
Uh
like
huh.
a takeover of academia, and putting academia at the service of the extractive industry. So yeah, and there's then just, yeah, I suppose the new um what's happening with the EU and the Critical Raw Materials Act, this kind of manic craze to secure minerals and compete on the global stage. So Ireland is falling in behind and just like implementing whatever comes from the EU. So the Critical Raw Materials Act, and the strategic projects that come with that, and it's just huge, like deregulation, like public finance for private projects. Yeah, and it's just a way of ramming through mining, often against the will of the people.
Uh huh. Linda, you've worked both in Ireland and Latin America with communities resisting extractive industries. Do you see mining as a part of a global system, or even maybe a continuation of colonial patterns?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I spent 5 years in the Northern Highlands of Peru, like in Cajamarca, Celandine, where there was a large gold mine being pushed through against the will of the people. So, and it was, yeah, it was a scenario that was like hugely racist, actually, with the state. And well, there was one state company, well, or a Peruvian company, not state company, and then the biggest gold producer in the world, was honing in on this campesino community, um, to, yeah, extract the gold underneath their mountain lakes, which provided water to 2 million people. Um, so that was just a continuation of yeah, colonial dynamics. Like in Cajamarca was a place where the last Inca fell at the hands of the Spanish.
Oh, uh huh.
and they gathered like I can't remember how many, like a room of gold and four of silver, or rooms full of gold and silver anyway, as a ransom to release this last Inca, and then they got all that and killed them anyway. And then now they're saying that this is like the next invasion, the next exploitation and conquest of their land. So and they resist, so and that's the case all over the world. It's normally rural, indigenous people and local communities that are facing the brunt of this extractive craze, and it's done really without consulting them in any meaningful way, like without their consent. And yeah, it's to fuel a global system that a follow on from the system that was around, during colonization, just exploiting the other, which is people and nature, people that aren't them and nature.
It's the same story, isn't it? Taking and taking, different century, different actors, but the same imbalance of power.
Exactly.
The same exploitation of land and its people.
For grade.
Yeah. And here at home, that imbalance is felt sharply by the local community, who often discover too late what's happening around them. Can you tell us what rights do local communities currently have when it comes to prospecting and mining licenses? And why is it so hard for people to say no at an early stage?
Yeah, so like we should have the right to say no. Or we could say that we exercise our right to say no. No to damaging projects, no to projects that would destroy our home, and destroy the land for future generations. So we do have that right to say no. It's just unfortunately not recognised by the state, by the industry. So there's kind of like a narrow window of participation in this process, but it opens too late, way too late. Whenever like everything is seemingly already agreed, and when the companies are already in the door, so that's why it's hard for communities to stop these things. It takes a long time because they haven't been able to have a say at the start. And it's not just having a say, it's actually having a meaningful say, like participating, having like democratic participation in in land use and in the projects that sustain us or destroy. So like the current system isn't working for communities. It's not working for like for the environment either. So it desperately needs to change. In the north, there is this like strategic environmental assessment review, or like a review of the minerals regime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been tendered out to RPS, which is the company that did the assessment for the power lines for the mining project in the Sperrins. So obviously there's definite conflict of interest there. It's also now bought out. RPS is like now US based or owned company. So yeah, it's like a global consulting firm basically that have been consulting for industries across the globe. So it's already on a hugely unequal playing field,
Yeah.
It should be the government doing this, with the people before the companies are invited in. There's a UNDP participatory land use principles or guidelines, which says that the population and the state should decide how the land is used in a democratic manner before those who seek to exploit it are invited in, and here it's just the reverse of that. It's the,
It feels like the system is designed to keep communities one step behind, constantly reacting rather than being part of decision making.
yeah, and in Colombia there was a hugely inspiring movement for these was like consultas populares, which is popular consultations, but there were more than consultations. There were like local referendums.
Okay.
In places that were facing mining projects, and they overwhelmingly said no, and this was this mechanism was recognised by the state, and then these communities were saying no, we don't want these projects, which was hugely inspiring at the time. But then since then the government has reeled back on that and trying to shut the door because it was so successful.
Yeah.
But that's what we need. We need like real localized participatory democracy. Yeah.
Moving on, we're often told that mining is essential for the so-called green energy transition. What's your perspective on that, and what alternatives do you see?
That is like a narrative that's being pushed just so system change doesn't have to happen, that things can stay the same, business as usual can continue, and we just like switch the fuel source from fossil fuels to renewables.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a false choice, and it's just not true. It's not, renewables aren't replacing fossil fuels. The use of fossil fuels is actually growing, and renewables is like an add-on. So yeah, and it's like what are both fossil fuels and renewables fueling? It's fueling like a hugely unsustainable and wasteful system, a global economic system, which is capitalism. So it's like we're funneling our land, our water, our trees into like a sieve that's just flowing out the other end, a sieve with a hole in the bottom. So it's like it's never ending, no matter how much energy from fossil fuels, from minerals, it just pours out the other end, So it's like what we need is system change. We need obviously to stop burning fossil fuels because it's burning the planet. But that doesn't mean we just switch to another form of exploitation and devastation, which is mineral extraction. There's a really good report out, and I can share the link to share with people from Global Justice Now.
Okay.
And they look at the UK, and they have shown that there is no need for increased mineral extraction to meet net zero targets. Like the 6 of the critical minerals on the UK list are purely for so-called defence and security, which is basically for the arms industry.
Mm-hmm.
Another like 15 are for renewable technologies and the arms industry. So like, and the economy that we're in prioritizes what's most profitable, which is arms, unfortunately. Not because they're inherently profitable, it's because they get so much public funding and subsidies. So that's going to take those minerals, and then the others, the other minerals on the list, the need for the renewable technology need for those minerals can be met if it was diverted from other uses. And other uses is like consumer goods. It's like whatever else. there's a whole
Electronics and so on. Yeah.
yeah. So as a society, like we need to figure out what is societal need. It's not arms. It's not, flying billionaires into aerospace. It's not these like endless like supply of products that designed to break within
Mm-hmm.
years. And this wasteful system that just thrown on the landfill. So we can't ask any community to sacrifice themselves in the name of the system. So we can act for the climate, but more mining is not acting for the climate. It's more of the same.
Yeah, so this so-called green energy transition, it's a clever narrative. It sounds hopeful and even virtuous when you read it, but when you scratch the surface, it's just more extraction, more waste, and more harm dressed up as progress.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then, of course, when these industries arrive in a place, the social impact can be just as damaging as the environmental one. Um, Mining companies often use particular tactics when they arrive in a community. What strategies have you seen that work best to resist and to stay united?
Yeah, so definitely organizing early. And, we spoke before about how that's not always possible because, things are kept secret. Things are kind of done underhand as much as possible. So, yeah, organizing early isn't always possible, but organizing as soon as you know is really key to, yeah, to having a successful campaign. Um, like, I could just point to everything the Sperrins has done as like, this is how to organize, this is how to campaign, because yous have done it so brilliantly. Yous have had like a decade-long successful campaign. Daradian would be working away now,
Yeah.
ripping up the bog and pouring all the crap into the rivers if it wasn't for the people of the Sperrins, so yeah, I haven't really much more to add than what yous have done. Yeah, like also the people who I live with in Cajamarca, Peru were like amazing at this as well. And yeah, like it was really interesting there because they have a system called the Rondas Campesinas, which is like a autonomous kind of justice or way of organizing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like they have like it's really a community round, so the community yeah provides like local justice, and this is sanctioned, like this is state authorized, state recognized, um and so on the back of those local organizations, they took on the new threat of mining. So they were extremely well organized as well. And yeah, like their protests or mobilizations were always massively creative, and it was strong and forceful, but also joyful. They were really welcoming to everybody, you know. They were, yeah, like they knew community was the key. There was never a protest without some food, uh, or a hot chocolate. So yeah, and that's what you used to do. Like, I've never been to a GPO without a cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah, endless cups of tea.
We had some great food there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like communities know what to do. Yeah, they just have to weather the storm in terms of all that the mining company throws at them, which is many attempts to divide them, So yeah, sticking together whatever way possible.
And that sense of connection, that sort of extends beyond boundaries or local boundaries, through networks and collaborations. Do you think solidarity with other organizations and groups is important?
It massively so. Um, like the most important, yeah, like solidarity with like the living world is why solidarity with future generations. That's why kind of you start acting in the first place. And um yeah, solidarity like across communities, like just allows you to keep going, when times get tough. It can allow you to get off the ground running, as many communities across Ireland has experienced because of the shared experience of the Sperrins, you know. Um
Yeah.
like CAIM is there because of Fidel and yourself and others in the Sperrins, like traveling across the country to share what yous have been through. So communities that are newly facing this threat don't have to start from scratch, and that's like
Hmm.
a massive head start. Um, yeah, like our CAIM meetings are so um like warming and supportive, like people are going through really hard times. And you come away from a meeting and you feel renewed.
Yeah.
So
Uh, it's food for the soul.
yeah, definitely. And they know that you're not alone, and yeah, to show up and when needed as well. Like our CAIM in-person meetings have been always, when a community has needed us to show up in numbers, so and then I'm involved with the global Yes to Life Note of Mining Solidarity Network, which
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, so I've been involved for about 7 years now, and it's been yeah, it formed about 12 years ago, just out of organic solidarity between Latin America and Africa, like communities and those continents reaching out to each other. And it's now a global solidarity network. So yeah, there's communities in every continent, in every region. And it's yeah, standing up for the right to say no to mining. But there's also the yes to life. So, there's one no and many yeses, as the Zapatistas say. So, everyone has their post extractive future. Maybe that if future existed before, maybe it still does, or maybe it needs to be created, But there is a yes to life, it just needs the space there. To grow. And yeah, saying no to mining is saying yes to life, So we're actually heading to COP next month, the COP 30. Uh,
All right. Okay. Good.
yeah. I've never been like I've always been disappointed in the COPs,
I
as
know. I know. Yeah.
many people are, the official COP itself is never like the decisions are never strong enough or good enough,
Hmm.
Um, but we decided as a network we needed to have our voice there because it's been labeled a so-called mining COP. There's like a critical minerals agreement like on the table, and there's going to be this narrative that we were talking about earlier, like, okay, move away from fossil fuels, but where's all the critical minerals, let's get our hands on those. So we felt we needed to have the voices of the communities there saying no to that.
Okay.
We need a true transformation that's like just and, equitable and yeah, one that doesn't just replicate the same old crap. So that's why we're going. We're going to be concentrating on People Summit, which is, a global gathering of social movements.
Right.
And that is, yeah, going to be massively um, yeah, important to just join up with other social movements.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like La Via Campesina is going to be there,
Okay.
peasant global movement, the rights of nature, uh, the Garn, the Global Rights of Nature Alliance, is having a tribunal there. So just like it's an opportunity to, yeah, like join.
Connect to meet more people doing the same thing, solidarity, and from one to many. That's how we grow. It's inspiring to hear how these connections have grown through your work, both with the Yes to Life, No to Mining, and through CAIM. But you've also published a couple of, I hesitate to call them books, but they're nearly books. Can you tell us a little about those?
Um, yeah, so I produced yeah, like a long report
Long report, yeah.
uh, on I suppose the state of mining in Ireland, and just like, yeah, like with the state of play and then what's at stake and what's the alternative. So that's a good few years old now. But yeah, it was important at the time, and it was, yeah, I felt it was a good resource, just getting all the information together in the one place. Yeah, I'm now with Antashka, the
Uh-huh.
National Trust for Ireland, and on a part-time basis, like doing, trying to do something similar, like providing resources, like like what's the state of play for mining at the minute, especially with
All right.
like critical minerals, madness, and yeah, just getting everything in one place and then providing, like, producing some resources for communities. So hopefully, yeah, that can be of service as well.
Oh, that's great. And where could people get those if they were looking for them?
Yeah, so the Yes to Life Nona Mining one is on the Yes to Life Nona Mining website, um, under emblematic cases.
Okay. Note mine. Okay.
And then the Antashka one is yet to be. uh,
Published.
yeah, yeah, that'll hopefully be get within the year.
All right. Okay. I'll put that in the show notes. Emblematic cases, and we also have them up on Cameo Corporation against no, don'tmindus.com, the website associated with Sperrins. We've had, I think we've two PDFs up there this long
Mhm.
time for people to access.
Yeah, there's also a really good resource by Carlos Soria, who's based in Ecuador. Yeah, like how to protect your community from mining companies. I think that's the title. So that's also on the resources page of the Islamic Nuna Mining. It might be on Dominus as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Thanks, Lynda. Um, Looking ahead, what reforms or alternative approaches do you think could truly protect people and nature?
Yeah, so there are like some like immediate urgent reforms, like such as like there needs to be a review of the mining regime north and south of the island, and there needs to be human rights assessments and proper strategic environmental assessments, and social impact assessments. Like, so there needs to be like proper process and true democratic participation. So that needs to happen as like urgent reforms, like the bare minimum. But I do feel there are like deeper transformations that are needed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the main one is the economic system. We need an economic system that works for the people, not against them, works, yeah, for societal need, not for profit, So I think, like, definitely we need to move away from capitalism. We need a well-being economy, that's, all these, like, there's like degrowth or post-growth or whatever. It just means like moving away from capitalism and something that serves the needs of the people. Um, so that is desperately needed. There's other ones like, like rights of nature is a really great idea, that could transform like our legal system and
Mm-hmm.
bring the legal system in alignment with what, like, the state of where we're at and what we need. Yeah, and like real participatory democracy at a local level, in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, like, yeah, worker owned workplaces, worker controlled, fully unionized. Like, if these all happened, then that would, yeah, capitalism wouldn't be able to survive, So I think they're the.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the vision we need, all right. One that's maybe rooted in care and reciprocity and rather than going for growth. Um, yeah, the economy was meant to serve the needs of the people initially, and we've got so far away from that. It's just unbelievable. It serves the few, and the rest just get to suffer it out in one form or the other.
Yeah, and an economy that's not tied to an unsustainable resource, which is massively destructive to extract, such as gold. No, like in
Sure.
like all this like warmongering, like everyone's scrambling for gold, but like, that bar of gold means like destruction and death. So,
Hmm.
like,
Everywhere,
yeah.
both assets, from where it's mined out of the ground to what it turns into eventually dollars for weapons and guns and what have you.
Mhm.
Um,
It's completely arbitrary. We have placed this value on gold. We could just as easily take it away.
so, Lynda, there are two questions I ask every person that comes onto this podcast, and the first one is: can you think of someone that you could recommend to come and speak on this podcast?
Yeah, well, I knew you asked the question, so I thought about it.
Good.
Yeah, so I have appreciated and loved like all the interviews that you've done so far, and especially those with like really strong and inspiring women. So yeah, I was thinking of you've already interviewed a lot of the inspiring women that I would mention, but also I was thinking of um yeah, two women that were recently on the global Samud flotilla, attempting to break the illegal blockade of Gaza. So like Caoimhe Butterly and Sarah Clancy were both on those, and they're both great Irish activists. And
Right.
I think it's important as well to like learn from other struggles, not
Sorry,
just
can you give me Cuiva Butterly and
Sarah Clancy.
Sarah Clancy? Okay. Yep. Go on ahead.
Yeah, because they are both amazing activists in what they do. I have organised for both of them, like when the Zapatistas were over a few years ago. And they're just like just really wise, strong, inspiring women. And yeah, I think we do need to connect with other struggles. Join
Yeah.
up struggles because it's the same,
Same.
yeah,
Yeah.
same fight really. So. Yeah, those are two that I would definitely recommend.
Okay. So I will have a phase two of these discussions. The first ones are all mine related in relation to the Sperrins and so on. And phase two, casting the net further. And I have some brilliant recommendations, and I have some brilliant people coming on in phase two. So I'll look at those for phase two. I'll definitely I'll need you to send me some contact details if that's
Mhm.
great, if that's okay.
For
Um,
sure.
and then the last thing is, what gives you hope?
Well, what gives me hope is organizing with the brilliant people that I have the honor to organize with. Um yeah, so yourself, everyone from the Sperrins, everyone from CAIM, everyone from Yes Life Not Mine, and it's like just such a joy. Like we're facing such heavy stuff, but when we're together, there is just so much joy there, and love and care, and crack, you know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the most important ingredient. A bit
Yeah,
of fun.
just that one. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely what keeps me going. And then I suppose more particularly with hope, like the fact that, as we said, like the Iranian hasn't been able to progress with their mine camp in inverted commas. The mine in Peru wasn't able to go ahead either. The Congo project was stopped by the campesino communities in Cajamarca. So it is possible and it has been done. It just,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I hold hold with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Linda, thanks so much for being with us today. I really admired the depth of your writing on mining and extractivism and the way you've carried the lessons from your time in Peru into your work here at home. Your role in building networks like CAIM and Yes to Life, No to Mining has helped connect communities right across Ireland and far beyond. And that's such a powerful legacy. Uh, we're grateful for all the energy and courage and clarity you bring to this struggle. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks so much, Marilla. Thanks for having me.
That was Lynda Sullivan, writer, researcher, long-time campaigner for social and environmental justice. Her work with CAIM and Yes to Life, No to Mining network has helped weave connections between communities here and across the world, reminding us that these local struggles are part of something much bigger. It was a real privilege to have her on the podcast. And as Lynda reminds us, change so often begins with ordinary people standing their ground, protecting what they love. You've been listening to the Save Our Sperrins podcast, Voices from the Frontline. Thank you for joining us today. All the links you'll need, from campaign updates to our social media pages, as well as links shared by today's guests and resources mentioned in the conversation, are available in the show notes. Please take a moment to share this podcast with friends, neighbours, or anyone who cares about protecting our land and communities. And don't forget to hit the follow button on your podcast platform. It really helps the algorithm spread these voices further. Together, our voices are stronger. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep standing with the land, the water, the air, and the people who protect them.